Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MTGO Traders. My name is Taryn, and we're back with some more good stuff, which is mono-white vampires for Dominaria Standard. So this list is an interesting one. I was actually in the middle of building an Oketra Monument deck, and kind of came upon this list and was like, you know what, I feel like it's actually probably pretty good. Did some deck testing and was like, wow, this actually is decent as well. And actually a lot of cards are going to not cycle or rotate. Actually, none of them are going to rotate in the next rotation. I know we covered Simic Merfolk as a rotation-proof list, but this is also a rotation-proof list that I feel like is probably pretty good right now. This is mono-white vampires, a deck list built to make a lot of tokens, go super wide, and just swing for the fences. Now, a lot of people are going to say, you know, Goblin Chainwhirler is the biggest threat to this deck list, but worry not, we'll be okay. But before I get into the deck tech, guys, make sure to like if you like it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell to notify you when we have a video going live on the channel. But let's get right into it, guys, with the deck tech, starting with our creatures. We've got Skymarcher Aspirant, Adanto Vanguard, Legion Conquistador, and Banalish Marshal. Marshal here isn't a vampire, but super impactful to the board state since we are going super wide. Aspirant is a great turn 1 play. Turn 2 play is, of course, the Adanto Vanguard, and if we have a Legion Conquistador in opening hand, and we kind of empty our opening hand, the Conquistador actually fills up our hand again with creatures to get onto the battlefield. Vanguard is also very good at getting around lots of removal in the format right now, as well as just being a great attacker on turn 3, and Skymarcher Aspirant turns into a flyer if we have enough stuff on the battlefield, which we will eventually. And the Marshal just, you know, pumping our entire board, giving us +1/+1, as well as just being a great 3/3 body as well. So super good, and being not a legendary means you can play multiples on the battlefield too. Moving on to some more, you know, higher end creatures for us. We've got Maverick Fane, Dusk Apostle, and Shalai, Voice of Plenty. Shalai here is the reason I was like, you know what, I feel like this deck is pretty real. Maverick Fane is another great card for us, a 3-mana 2/2. Whenever we have a non-token vampire attack, it creates a 1/1 white vampire token with lifelink on the battlefield, so super good for that. Maverick Fane is going to be like, you know, a 2/2 though, so it can be a possible 3/3, but it's basically just a removal target for our opponent. Shalai, though, when it hits the battlefield, means that Maverick Fane is going to go off and be a massive threat against their board state. Also, I did say that this was a mono-white list, but we do have some green in here for Shalai's 6 ability here, 6-mana ability. Put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So if Shalai is on the battlefield, they have to deal with Shalai first, and then after that, they can deal with the rest of our board state. But normally, they're going to have to go with a Vraska's Contempt, a Seal Away, or a Settle the Wreckage, or a Cast Out, something like that in white mostly. Anything in black, though, is going to have to be Vraska's Contempt. And if they're playing mono red, then they're going to have to either go with an Unlicensed Disintegration, and they have that splash for black, or, you know, 2 burn spells. But that is all the creatures in the deck list so far, only 21 in total. Let's get on to our spells really quickly, starting with our kind of aggro, kind of dealing with that. We have Seal Away, Gideon's Reproach, and Settle the Wreckage, just a 1-of in the main game on game 1. Gideon's Reproach is here basically to shut down a Goblin Chainwhirler coming in. It's, you know, Gideon's Reproach deals 4 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Very, very good for us. Seal Away, so you shut down a Lyra Dawnbringer if it's attacking out at us. Something like that we don't want hitting us too many times. A Traxos, if an opponent is playing Traxos or something random like that. Or just a large, you know, Scarab God coming our way, or an Eternalized Scarab God's token coming our way as well. Seal Away is going to deal with that too. Settle the Wreckage is here against those mono-red aggro list and black-red aggro list as well, if they're swinging out towards our face, or another token-based list to make sure we, you know, exile everything. They do get land off of that, so we don't want to play it on turn 4 precisely, but if they're super wide on turn 4 swinging out, we do want to play a Settle the Wreckage. So that's it for our removal package. Let's get over to our enchantments here, which we have a lot of them. Legion's Landing, Radiant Destiny, and Vanquisher's Banner, which is an artifact for us. Legion's Landing is another great turn 1 play for us, giving us a 1/1 and the ability to flip this into a land on turn 4, as well as just giving us a token producer like factory. Radiant Destiny is great for us because it pumps our entire board and eventually gives us Vigilance, giving us an out to get around a Seal Away, as well as, you know, just overall pumping our vampire board. Vanquisher's Banner is another way to pump our vampire board, but also get some card advantage in the mid to late game. So since we're a token-based strategy, we have a lot of life-linking creatures thanks to our token production. We're actually going to go probably into mid to late game pretty often, and Vanquisher's Banner is a great card to play on turn 5, turn 6, and draw some extra creatures, especially if we have a Legion Conquistador in our hand to cast to get more Conquistadors out onto the battlefield. But that is all the cards in the deck list besides lands. Let's hit our lands really quickly. We've got 14 Plains, 3 Forests, 4 Sun Petal Grove, 1 Ark of Vraska, and 1 Field of Ruin. I did think about kind of throwing in a Scavenger Grounds, but the 3 mana, like solid mana for the Banalish Marshal is so highly needed in this deck list. We really do need that white mana as quickly as possible, so putting in a Scavenger Grounds is kind of testing the waters on how our mana base is kind of laid out. We do have 7 pieces of green here for the Shalai to use the ability for us. I almost thought about putting in 15 Plains and just 2 Forests, but I do think this 7 7-14 split is decent for us as well, but 24 lands in total. We do need to hit a land basically every turn if we want to try and play out as effectively as possible. But that is it for the game 1 game plan. Let's go into our sideboard and go to the game 2 game plan. So first up, against the more mid-range strategies, the more control-heavy strategies, or removal-heavy strategies, we've got Sentinel Totem, Sorcerer Spyglass, Invoke the Divine, Ixalan's Binding, and Bishop of Rebirth, a super good card for us thanks to what we have in the deck list. Sentinel Totem is here for us for the Scarab Guard matchup, the Godfrey's Gift matchup, anything with Graveyard Recursion, a Scrapheap Scrounger, that kind of stuff in the standard meta right now. Sorcerer Spyglass is here to shut down a Heart of Kiran, shut down a Teferi, shut down a Chandra, anything that's a Planeswalker. We want to shut this down with a Sorcerer Spyglass, or maybe even a Aether Harvester or a Heart of Kiran. Invoke the Divine destroys artifacts and enchantments and gains us life as well, so in that mono red aggro matchup, Heart of Kiran and Aether Harvester is a tough to deal with card. Flame of Killed is also kind of making its way into that deck list, so we want to make sure that we have enough removal for that as well. And against the white and black matchups, we're going to have a decent removal against that History Benalia deck. Ixalan's Binding is here to shut down the Goblin to Chain Whirler once and for all, as well as anything else that's on their side of the field that's a non-land permanent. And Bishop of Rebirth is a great card against the mono red aggro list because it can return a 3 mana or less creature from our graveyard to the battlefield, as well as just being a vigilance creature getting around a black-white History Benalia list with Seal of Ways. So super good card for 5 mana, a 3/4 which actually does survive a Lightning Strike as well. But that is not all on the sideboard. Let's get to the rest of it here. We have Tocatli Honor Guard, Icy Manipulator, 2 more Settle the Wreckage, and 1 Immortal Sun. Tocatli Honor Guard is here for that, Goblin Chain Whirler. Anything with Enter the Battlefield abilities you don't like. If we're playing up against control as well, Tocatli Honor Guard is very good if they have a Torrential Gearhulk, something like that. Super good against that. Icy Manipulator is here to shut down a single creature on their side of the field, or just a big creature or artifact or whatever, or even maybe just a land if we need to tap it out if they know they need an extra land for a Settle the Wreckage or something like that. Settle the Wreckage is also here for us for those token-based strategies, those aggro-based strategies. We wanted to put 2 more into the sideboard, which does put the price of the deck up a little bit more thanks to this being an expensive card, but super good against the mono red and red-black aggro deck lists. And the Immortal Sun is here against those random, Planeswalker decks that are kind of going around the format right now. A 6 mana legendary artifact. Players can activate Planeswalker loyalty abilities, and at the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card. Then spells you cost 1 less to cast, or spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. There we go. And creatures you control get +1/+1. So another field-wide pump, and another great way for us to draw extra cards and make sure that they don't actually get their Planeswalkers going off. So great card for us. We might want to replace this over a Vanquisher's Banner, something like that, depending on what kind of matchup we're going into. But that is the full 75, folks. Let's get into the full deck list here. If you want to build this on MTGO, it's coming to about 40 tickets on MTGO traders, and if you want to build this on paper, it's coming to about 150 bucks. The prices for MTGO coming to about $6 for the Settle the Wreckage. The most expensive cards on Magic Online for the online list here is, of course, Settle the Wreckage and Radiant Destiny, with Sunpetal Grove being closely behind that. If you want to build this in paper, the pricier cards are Banalish Marshal, Settle the Wreckage again, and Legion's Landing is actually quite a bit as well. Alright guys, let's get into some matches of the mono-white vampire deck. Rotation proof. This is, I think we're up against red-black aggro or red-black control here. Gonna go for a Plains, pass turn. They go for a Mountain. We're gonna go for a Danto Vanguard because that's a fantastic card for us. They go for a Shock. We let it resolve because we're not sure what kind of deck we're up against just yet. They go for black mana. We go for a third and go for a Banalish Marshal. Pass the turn back to them. They have a Lightning Strike to our face. I thought the Lightning Strike was going to go to the Marshal, but did not. 3 lands here. Gonna go for another land drop. Go for a Danto Vanguard, holding up that Seal Away just in case of a hasty creature. They're gonna go Unlicensed Disintegration on the Marshal, and then we pass the turn once again. Opponent is full of removal here. A Fatal Push to the Adanto Vanguard. We make it survive with the Indestructible. Pass the turn back. We go for Field of Ruin. Could go for a Banner or a Legion's Landing. We go for Banner right now and try and get in for some damage. They go for a Braid to the Banner. This is a full-on control list. They have 2 cards left in their deck list though, which is not bad. We get in some damage, drop them down to 17, pass the turn back to them. 4th or 5th land drop there, 5th land drop. Blur of Blades does kill the Adanto Vanguard because it is -1/-1 counters. Flame of Killed is their second card. A Vanguard for ourselves, and then a Legion's Landing, holding up a Seal Away just in case of something else. And then passing the turn back to them here. They're out of cards, they're drawing in, but they draw 2 extra cards thanks to Flame of Killed here. So they lay a land, pass the turn, we play a Plains, and then get in for 4 points of damage here. 1 lifelink if we can. Shock on the lifelinker, so we just get in for 3 here, drop them down to 14. Then also Flame of Killed, making sure they do 2 points of extra damage. They shock us. We go for a Marshal healer here on our turn, get in for 4 points of damage there, drop them down to 10, pass back to them here. They just pass the turn. Sun Petal, we attack in for some more damage, drop them down to 3. Let's see here if we actually win this match. Not sure just yet. Are we so close? Live fast. They drop down to 1. They try and get something, but that is it for the game 1. We win that match pretty handedly. Getting out Steal Away, because we didn't see any kind of creatures whatsoever, so we're thinking this is more of a control list. We bring in Sentinel Totem, Bishop of Rebirth, thinking that there are cut to ribbons as well. Bring in Immortal Sun, just in case of any kind of weird Planeswalker nonsense. Mulligan, and then we get a Plains off the top for that third white mana for the Banalish Marshal. And they lay a land, our turn here. We go for a Plains past the turn. Really would want a Adanto Vanguard for our draw this turn. They go for a red-black mana. We go Legion Conquistador, so we do have turn 3 stuff for days, but we don't have a Vanguard or something like that can survive. So Sword Point Diplomacy, we exile the cut ribbons and exile the shock. We have them keep the Flame of Keld. We go for Legion Conquistador here and get more Conquistadors into our hand, which is not too bad for us here in this particular situation. But of course, would love something a little bit cheaper on the mana curve. So they lay a land here, go for a cut, killing that Conquistador. So they do have ribbons in the graveyard. Going to keep that in mind for later in the match. Go for another Conquistador here. We want to make sure we get an attack in once we play the Marshal. So we keep doing this situation. Play a Sentinel Totem for that Scry ability. Get a Plains. We don't want that on the top just yet since we have 5 mana. On the next turn here, they go for a tap here, go for Sword Point Diplomacy. Once again, we get rid of that Fatal Push and Shock. Go down to 8. Might have been a mistake there for us, but we go for Arc of Araska. Actually, no, we go for a Plains, then Bishop of Rebirth there. And next turn, should be able to get in for that 3-4 unless they kill it. We get in for 2 here, which is not bad at all. 4 cards in the opponent's hand, untapping with 5 mana, dropping a, I think here, 4 mana here, 5 mana here. Oh, a ribbons for 3, dropping us down to 5. So might be game here, dropping a Plains in here, getting out as many cards as we possibly can to try and close out the match as quickly as we possibly can. Go for a Bishop of Rebirth, getting back that Conquistador. We have all of the Conquistadors on the field or either in our hand. They have an hour of devastation, wiping our entire board state. We go Arc of Araska, play out the Conquistador, play out the Marshal, and hope that they don't have anything following up that. They do have a cut in their hand with the ribbons later, I'm assuming. Live fast here, drawing a card. We're going to exile the graveyard with the totem there, play a land, go for Shalai, and hope that they don't have too many burn spells in their hand. If they have 2 lightning strikes, they actually just win here. But they have a cut again. That's the 3rd cut in the match, and a lightning strike to our face, another lightning strike to our face, and that's going to end up on game 2. Getting into game 3 here, we take out the Settle the Wreckage. We bring in Invoke the Divine to try and gain some life. If we think about that for the Immortal Sun and the Vanquisher's Banner. We're going to mulligan our first hand, though. Adanto Vanguard and Vanguard on the top is nice. Lay a land past turn. We are on the play again, so it does give us the advantage. They play a black mana. We play out the Adanto Vanguard as quickly as possible. They go for Fatal Push. This time we let it go to Indestructible. We go down to 16 for this, but we want to make sure that we have a advantage going forward. So we crash in for 3 here, drop them down to 17. We have Vanquisher's Banner in our hand, so if we get that, oh, they go for Dynavolt Tower, not too bad. We're going to go for a land here. Go for Maverick Fane since they're tapped out. Swing out for 6 and get a 1/1 lifelinker, which is not bad at all. Of course, the one thing that really does messes up here is a Sweltering Suns or an Hour Devastation. They go for a Braid for Maverick Fane, then they go for Flame of Kill, discarding their entire hand. So we're going to go for a land here and go Vanquisher's Banner and get in a ton of power here, getting in 8, 9, 10 points, dropping them down to 1. And let's see if they actually have anything for the follow-up here. Drawing 2 cards. They're down to 1. I think that's it. Opponent's giving us a GG, and that is the match. Into match 2 here, I think we're up against a mono-red Godfrey's Gift strategy. Super interesting matchup here for us because it is a lot of graveyard recursion. We do mulligan down to 5. We get a Legion's Landing off the top. We lay a land here and go for a red mana for them. They go for a Goblin where we can sack and get some mana. We go for Arc of Araska, go for Adanto Vanguard because it's a super good card against this particular matchup. Again, if they have Blur Blades, that is a card that shuts us down. But if they don't, we just continue to make sure that Vanguard is attacking in as often as possible. Play out Radiant Destiny so we don't have to trade with the Goblin here, and then just crash in for 4 if we can. Lightning Strike to our face, which I thought was interesting. I feel like they should have done the strike to the opponent or to our creature because we would have lost 1 extra point of life. So very strange on that. They go for a Goblin Warchief this turn after sacking their Goblin there. It does have a 2/2 with haste, so that's not too bad. We're going to go with a Maverick Fane here since they are tapped out. Attack in here for 4 and make a 1/1 lifelinker. Assuming Maverick Fane's going to die this next turn to a removal spell, so let's see what happens. Sunscorched Desert pinging us, and in a Braid, yep, there it is, with a Firebrand here. Hasty. We're going to go for a Legion's Landing here, and then just again, crash in for 4, and 2. They're going to block the 4/2 here. We're going to make sure it's indestructible. Going down to 10, so super close as far as our life points go. A Braid to our Adonto Vanguard. We're going to actually pay the 4 again because they're kind of running out of steam in their hand. We have nothing but good stuff in our hand right now. An opponent actually scoops it up in game 1. So getting into game 2 here, we take out Vampire Zeal. By the way, Vampire Zeal is replaced in the actual deck tech with Gideon's Reproach, but never really see that matchup at all in this or the card at all in this list. So opponent goes for Bomat Courier on turn 1. We go for a Sky Marcher Aspirant. They go for a Fanatical Firebrand and just sack it straight to that Aspirant. So good move on our opponent's behalf because this is a Godforce gift matchup for them. So we're going to go for an Adonto Vanguard, one of the great cards against this particular matchup. They've got the Courier, so we say, okay, maybe the Courier is great at trading here with the Vanguard. Say, are we going to do that? We get the card underneath the Courier, and we're going to make sure that the actual Vanguard is indestructible. Actually, they do sacrifice the Courier before damage, so I don't even have to pay the 4 life. Aspirant here, and we go for another Vanguard, and then just crash in for 3, thanks to them just having the Prospector. They really want to keep the Prospector so they can get to a Godforce gift as soon as possible. 2 cards in the opponent's hand, laying a land. We're going to go Sun Petal Grove here, and just to crash in with everybody. 6, 7, 8 points of damage, dropping them down to 9. Tons of damage against them. Settle the Wreckage and Steal Away are coming in handy later in the match here. Gonna go for a Vanquisher's Banner because we have nothing but value forever. Crashing in again for 8. We're gonna hold the flyer, or the potential flyer, on our side of the field for now, making sure that our Adonto Vanguard is indestructible, trading with that Squee, and drop them down to 5. They have 7 mana now with that Prospector. So they're going to go Siege Gang Commander, which is not bad at all. 1 card in opponent's hand here. They're going to go really wide and sack it and kill that Aspirant, which is okay. Not necessarily a great move for them, I feel like. They're going to crash in again for 4, or we're going to crash in for 4. Dropping them down to 1. They lay another land here, and they have Godfrey's Gift off the top. Super cool. They have the Combat Celebrant from the graveyard, and they start swinging out with Exert, and we have Settle the Wreckage in our hand to shut down that entire strategy with a Seal Away on the second combat phase. But they've seen enough, and that is the game. Let's get on to match 3 here. So match 3 is actually not a full match, it's only 1 game. But this is actually up against Esper Control, and spoiler alert, we end up winning this match, and the opponent Salt Scoops. But I do want to go through the entire matchup here because I think it's super good for us to see how the interaction works. So, turn 2, we get out a ton of stuff here, because they are a little bit slower thanks to the Esper Control list. We're going to get a flipped Legion's Landing as soon as possible, on turn 3 in fact. Drop them down to 14 here, being super aggressive. Wish we had something else besides lands in our hand, but we're going to continue to make some 1/1s here. Going to go for a white mana and go for a Banalish Marshal. They have 4 cards on the field, so I'm assuming they have Settle the Wreckage, so we attack in with our Lifelinkers here, and we actually get the hit, and then they go for Glimmer of Genius. So it's either Glimmer of Genius or Settle the Wreckage in the Esper Control list, so I was thinking Glimmer of Genius at the time, so Settle the Wreckage at the time, not Glimmer of Genius. We play another Marshal, crash in for 6. They have a Fatal Push and a Seal Away for both of those creatures there. Not very good for our situation. We've played Aether Hub, they pass the turn again. We're going to go for a 3rd Banalish Marshal because our deck just decides to give it to us. They go Essence Scatter. We crash in for 4 here if we can. They Settle the Wreckage or 1 creature, and then we play a Plains. This does kind of telegraph that they have a Torrential Gearhulk in their hand, so we're going to go for an Arc of Araska, drawing some cards since we have the City's Blessing, and try and get in for some more flying damage. They go Glimmer of Genius with a Fatal Push off the top there. Very good. They pass the turn again. We're going to go Legion's Landing off that Arc of Araska draw, and Adonto Vanguard is in our hands, so we're going to try and get that out as soon as possible. And then attack in with just 1 Marshal and probably see another Glimmer of Genius. Was thinking of a Settle the Wreckage, but there's a Seal Away on top of the Marshal there. They're just going to pass turn again. We're going to go with a draw again, drawing into a Field of Ruin, and just attack in with our indestructible creature with our Lifelinker. They go Torrential Gearhulk, and because they have Settle the Wreckage in the graveyard, it exiles those creatures. We do get lands here, so we do thin our deck a little bit, and we pass the turn with making a 1/1, turning it into a 2/2 thanks to the Marshal. They go with a Vraska's Contempt onto our Marshal, and attack in for 5 here. We actually try and go for a Seal Away here. I think it actually sticks though. It does stick. Yep, that's very good for us. Then we go Radiant Destiny, but it gets disallowed. And then we just draw a card off the top from that as an activation. Just get in for 1 here as well, dropping them down to 11, dropping us up to 22. So playing a land, and we're going to go with a Field of Ruin on the Aether Hub, trying to get another land out of our deck to make sure we can actually continue drawing gas here. They go to Fairy, bounce that Seal Away. and then get the Torrential Gearhulk with a Glimmerback. We top deck Shalai, which is amazing for us. They have 3 mana untapped though, so they have a disallow, of course. We go for a Banalish Marshal right after that, I believe. Actually, we draw a card, then we go for a Banalish Marshal, then Aspirant, and then get in for nothing. Our goal here now is to kill that Teferi if we can. And let's see here. They untap the lands there. Yep, seal away off the top for us from the bounce from the Teferi. We're going to draw a card here for the Aspirant. Try and get that out if we can. And then attack Teferi. They have a seal away from their hand there. It's because of a blink of an eye they bounced it from the previous turn there. And the Vraska's Contempt also on the Banalish Marshal. So not very good for us. Not looking great, but they have a Search for Frascant off the top as well. We get into a Settle the Wreckage and a Legion Conquistador. So we try to go to Conquistador, but they syncopate for 6. They don't want us to refill our hand with anything, so we're going to say okay to that. That's no problem. We're also going to make a 1/1 though, and just attack out for Teferi, trying to kill it. They don't have anything as far as a seal away in hand, so they block with the 1/1, and actually Teferi dies that turn. Search for Frascant does flip though. They have 3 cards in hand. They're going to swing in for 5. We hold up that seal away thinking they may have another syncopate in hand. So we're going to go with a Conquistador first to try and kind of, ink out a counterspell. We go seal away onto that Gearhulk. They have a negate in hand, sadly. Then we just draw some cards with Arc of Vraska here. Get into Radiant Destiny, try and get that out if we can. They have another Torrential Gearhulk, so that's not good for us, but we do have Settle the Wreckage in our hand again. They have 1 card in their hand. They do have a flipped Azcanta though, so we want to keep that in mind. They're cycling like crazy now, trying to look for some answers. They get in for 10 points, but we block with our Lifelingers going up to 21. Laying a land here, drawing a card with Arc of Vraska. Arc of Vraska really giving us a ton of value this game. Getting in for 4 if we can. They're going to try and look for an answer with our Azcanta, and they don't find it. They go down to 7. And then they cycle another Fetid Pools here, looking for some more answers. Laying a land, feel like they shouldn't have done that. We're going to go with a Settle the Wreckage here, and exile those cards, and that's the game. And then once we try to go for our sideboard here, they actually just scoop it up. But that is the full 75, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you have any suggestions for it? Please let me know in the comments down below. And let me know what kind of deck you want to cover in the future for sure. Please let me know in the comments down below as well. I keep saying comments down below. Sorry about that. Like if you like it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And make sure you hit that bell to get notifications when we have a video go live on the channel. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. I love you all, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.